operations manager at Alder Steels, India, and she's based in Amritsar. She's also heading an NGO called the Bloody Pure Campaign. And this is an extremely important on the ground NGO, and the work that she's doing. She's going to talk about that to us today. And I want to welcome her, especially because she is such a valued part of the Maja House Working Committee. Nazi Puri, who's here as our moderator today, has a postgraduate degree in fashion design, and she's worked as the director of a children's club. She's Amritsar's beloved book fairy, and she promotes books, and she promotes the habit of reading, and she does a lot of book-related activities. She's a storyteller, and she regularly organizes events at Cafe Kikli at Maja House. She curated the first ever children's book festival at Amritsar, organized by Maja House in November 2019. Thank you very much, Nazi, for that. And on our new online platform, she does the popular storytelling session called The Book Room. Over to you, Nazi. I'm going to give you the platform. Please take the conversation forward. Thank you.
Thank you. A very good evening to all of you. So our speakers for today are working towards the women's health issues. Both of them. One is working in the rural sector with the schools and young girls, and the other one with the corporates and urban sector. So to start with, Gurleen, you tell us, what is this campaign, Bloody Pure, about? And why this name, Bloody Pure?
Okay, I want to begin with thanking Preeti ji, first of all, for giving me this opportunity, and the entire Maja House team for being so supportive of me. And also I love the audience for joining us here today. So Bloody Pure campaign, it is an initiative by Kadam, and where we focus on breaking the taboos around menstruation and also educating both boys and girls about it. We also promotes the use of eco-friendly menstrual products. And currently with the operations, we are working in 4 cities, Amritsar, Bangalore, Coimbatore, and Chennai. It is quite frequent that we get this question, why Bloody Pure? What do you mean by it? And honestly, it's quite simple as the name suggests. Period blood and women bleeding have generally been denoted as impure and dirty in our society. We are trying to start a dialogue around it and educate people that it is anything but impure. So we also did a video recently where we had this tagline which stated, "Ye impure nahi, ye bloody pure hai." Hence the name.
How did you come to know about this campaign and Kadam?
Okay, so about the inception of Bloody Pure in Amritsar, it is originally started by our founder Shiv in Coimbatore, and we started here in Amritsar last year only in July. So my friend and I got to know about this from another friend. So it was a long chain of one person telling another and so on. So one fine day, Ambika and I are sitting and we get to know this, and that's it. We start working towards it, and we realize and we resonate with the cause mostly because we ourselves have faced these taboos, and we ourselves have faced a lot of health related issues around this. So we went to the gynecologist, we went to the schools to talk to, and then finally in September last year, we visited our first school for the session. And we were only 5 volunteers back then, and currently we have covered 6 schools, more than 1,500 students, and we have a strength of 30 volunteers here with us.
What are the general health problems these children come up with?
Okay. So for the audience that we address, it is quite young. So a lot of them are still waiting to get the first period. So the major health problems that we face or we come across are mostly around PMS, like fatigue or mood swings. And some of them are also around irregularities, but it is only because their bodies are still getting used to the process.
So talking of health problems, Gulneer, I would like to ask you, what are the health problems the women working with corporates, they are facing nowadays?
So nowadays they're facing more allergies, more acne-related problems, hypertension, stress-related problems, and PCOS.
What is PCOS?
So PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, where women usually develop follicles around their ovaries and they're not able to conceive. Um, um, Women who are associated with this produce higher than normal level of male hormones, which is androgen. And there are many other related problems associated with PCOS, which would be like weight gain, that is obesity, higher sugar levels, again, hair fall or thinning of hair, acne, skin pigmentation, and hair growth around your chin, chest, and neck areas.
Is PCOS curable?
Yes, it can be very well cured with a diet. And the right diet would be a well-balanced diet. Where women are going wrong is that they're not eating food at proper times. They are binging into more junk food. They are going into more fried food and fried snacks. So if a well-balanced diet is taken care of and is consumed, this problem will never come into play.
Are these problems openly discussed, or they feel shy discussing these problems to you?
Okay,
You know, these problems, again, it depends. I mean, I don't see most of the women who are shy about it. But of course, those, where husbands have taken appointments, on behalf of their wives and they want to really discuss about it, or they want their wives to discuss about all these things, they're a little apprehensive about, and they do have this thing that, please don't share all these discussions with our husbands or maybe with in-laws or families and things like that.
The same question goes to you, Gurleen. When you go to the schools and you talk to the children about this, are they shy?
Okay, the reactions that we usually get are quite mixed. But before I move to the students, I also want to talk about the teachers and how they react, because it is quite important and interesting to see the teachers who are very accepting of the cause, who are very who are open about it, but then we start to talk about the cause with them and we see that they also hesitate. And then we realize how deep rooted these stigmas can be. About the students, we see that it is a journey for them from, like you said, from being awkward to being open. So it takes some time for them to stop giggling about it and finally start asking us questions. And there are a lot
Do they ask questions?
Yes,
do they ask questions?
A lot of questions. So it is quite kind of very interesting to see how they are quite aware of the taboos and the restrictions even they face. So it is not only from the girls but also from the boys that we see those questions coming up, like why are they being restricted to enter the temple? Why are they made to sit separately? And why can't they eat certain sort of food, or why can't they even wash their hair? And honestly, the list keeps on going on and on and on. But again, there was this one boy who asked us if menstrual cycle is a monthly process. We were like, yeah, man, it is a monthly process. It's a never-ending process. So it is kind of a mixed reaction from them.
So does this happen that they come to you with their problems, like after you talk to them, do they come up with their problems personally to discuss certain things with you, or no?
Yeah, for the girls, it is quite often that they do hesitate towards the end as well. But we make sure that we are accepting them and opening up ourselves as well, so that they feel comfortable and ask their personal health issues with us. And for those, we personally do, since we are not medically approved, we do not give any sort of advice, but we do consult, we ask them to consult a gynecologist for it directly. When we realize that things are really affecting their health, we ask them to go to a doctor rather than just talking to somebody coming to your school or to ask your teachers for your help.
Gulneer, is hypothyroidism connected to menstruation?
Yes, this is also another related problem which many of the women are facing. And with hypothyroidism, usually the thyroid gland is not able to produce thyroid hormone. And the major function of thyroid hormone is to regulate metabolism. So it is quite understandable that people who are suffering from this have slow metabolism, and there are many problems related to it, like obesity, again, pain in your upper arm or calf area, irregular menses, even hair fall, graying of hair, and of course, physical activity is very important, where people are not getting involved into all these things.
Gurleen, we have talked about the barriers. What do you feel? How can we improve the situation? What should be done to improve the situation?
I think we are still to address the barriers. Let me do that first. So apart from the health related barriers, there are certain barriers which are still not addressed here. I just want to bring those to highlight first. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So talking about the barriers is kind of very important. So before we jump to the solutions, it is important for one first reason, because the average woman experiences 456 periods over 38 years, which equates to 2,280 days and precisely 6.25 years of menstruation, which is quite a lot. But despite that, period poverty is a core problem faced by women globally. So let me tell you what period poverty is. Period poverty means of access to sanitary products, menstrual hygiene education, toilets, hand washing facilities, and for that matter, also waste management. So the Indian Ministry of Health reported recently that only 12% of menstruators have proper access to sanitary products, which means a lot of women have to resort to unhygienic alternatives like rags or dirty cloths, newspapers, and for that matter, also soil or sawdust. And not only this, in developing countries, less than 30% of people have access to proper hand washing facilities. And when we sum all of these things up, we realize how difficult it is for a woman to manage her periods safely, and which can ultimately lead to a lot of health related issues and reproductive health related issues. The second barrier that I also want to bring to light here is the period and cultural shame attached with menstruation, which stops women and girls from going to schools and work. So this not only stops them from reaching their full potential because they end up missing out on a lot of opportunities which are crucial for their growth, but also they are made to feel ashamed about a very natural biological process. And not only this, if we talk about specifically girls in schools, we have seen it that they are taught or encouraged to conceal or hide the menstrual products or their menstrual needs from boys specifically to prevents them being uncomfortable. And all of this can ultimately inadequately shape their perception of menstruation, which is a mental burden for them as well.
So how do you feel we can improve the situation? Do you intend to hold more talks?
So when we talk about improving the situation, I'm not going to go overboard with it. I'm just going to state basic facts so that all of us who are present here can work towards it. It has to be inclusive. We have to destigmatize and normalize period before anything else. So the first thing that I will suggest is to educate people around us about menstruation, and especially to sensitize our children at homes and in regarding topics related to gender, sex, reproductive health, and also the rights that are associated with it. And secondly, I will also talk about promoting menstrual equity, which is kind of direct opposite of period poverty. Now, since it is the direct opposite, it means that we have to provide proper access to sanitary products, menstrual hygiene education, toilets, hand washing facilities, and waste management. The third thing can be, it is now very important. Now we have to include our men in menstruation. We have to shut down these barriers that we have around this gender, that we cannot talk to our boys or talk about girls' issues with them And we need to break these barriers also, because it is harming both of them ultimately. And the last thing that I want to talk about is specifically for the women, it is to take care of their diets and to eat healthy, mostly to prevent any sort of irregularities around their menstrual flows, which Gulneet here is talking about.
Gulneet, what do you have to say about this? How to improve their immunity?
So immunity can be improved by eating fruits and vegetables. When we are talking about fruits, of course, all fruits are very good. But I would like to specify citrus fruits, which are very high in vitamin C, should definitely be included. And these would be like your oranges, lime, Indian gooseberry, which is amla. Out from vegetables, again, green leafy vegetables play a very important role, as far as iron or high fiber oriented vegetables are concerned. We can even talk about carrots. Carrots have beta carotene and they're very high in antioxidants. I would like to stress more on a green bell pepper, which is capsicum, which is again infused with more amount of vitamin C than what you will be receiving from an orange or any citrus fruit, right? I would speak more on ginger and garlic and yogurt and curd, which are probiotics. Zinc-oriented food should definitely be included. These would be, like your seeds, or it can be, you can receive them from oysters and shellfish, and also from wheat germ. So these are the basic things, which will help you to improve your immunity.
Gulneet, do you have boys as volunteers with you?
Yes, okay. With the boys, so it is quite interesting. Like I said, our founder Shiv, this whole campaign began because he felt when it came to talking about periods, there was a void where men were not being included or boys were not being included. In a lot of cases, when we talk about children in schools, so schools have these particular sessions around menstruation for which they only invite girls and they educate them about it, but they leave out the boys from that conversation. And it is quite amazing to see, since it is happening to 50% of our population, but again, the men don't have any knowledge of it. And that's how we began with the campaign. And we do have a lot of male volunteers with us who are, I can close my eyes and trust them with the work, and they will do it for me.
It's really good. We are talking about this thing that people don't want to talk about this. But I have come across women who don't want to talk about taking diets from the dietitians because they feel that diet is only related to weight loss. Is that so?
Well, I will not really say so because, it depends on what kind of diet a lady is really providing. Is it a crash diet or is it a well-balanced diet? And, the client's major question over here is that how many days will it take for me to lose this much number of kilos of weight? So I would definitely say that to lose weight is one of the verticals. There are many other related problems also, which, everybody is facing. And I have already explained like PCOS or maybe hypothyroidism, or it is allergies or hypertension, or it could be uric acid related problems, constipation. All of these, are taken care. And they are also, a major problem while a person wants to lose weight as well. Because whenever I am talking to my clients who are working in corporates, they have acidity related issues, they have hypertension, they are obese, they are having, problems related with skin problems. So there are n number of things which come into play and has to be taken care in the diet itself.
Somebody is asking a question that often it is said that once you leave the diet, weight gain occurs again.
See, it depends how much, what kind of diet first is provided to you, and second, are you going in for a proportionate weight loss? So your right weight loss for a month should not be more than 2.5 to 3 kilos. If you are really looking for a crash diet, or you really want to, drop 5 to 7 kilos in a month, the sooner you drop, the more it gets on to you as and when, you progress.
Are these crash diets safe?
I will not say that they are safe at all, because crash diets will definitely, lose some amount of weight, but then it slows your metabolism. You have hair fall, you have bad skin related problems, and PCOS and hypothyroidism also gets into play, because hypothyroidism is also an autoimmune problem where your own immunity, when it is not strong, affects your cells. So that is where, women, they fall.
Because it is really believed that if you are going for crash diet in the long run, it will affect your bones, your skin, your hair.
Definitely, because right amount of nutrients are not going inside you. And I mean, just to be on green teas, as what I have seen, just to be on one particular kind of fruit, like, let's talk about watermelon. I would say that it should be well distributed. It should be a well balanced diet. Timings should be right. Physical activity should definitely be part of your lifestyle. And you should be bringing in more variety of each and every food source in your everyday meal.
So talking of the variety of food and all these things, nutrients, Gurleen, do you think all these girls, they have access to these kinds of foods?
So since we specifically go to these schools which are located in the smaller towns or in the rural areas of Amritsar, we do see that a lot of them do not have access to the basic facilities of food as well as sanitary products. So we try and encourage them to have at least the minimum diets that they can have and work around it. But also, since they are the government schools, it is a great initiative taken by the government as well, that they provide the midday meals to the students, which I feel makes a lot of difference for them in their lives.
Are these midday meals, do you think they are sufficient? They have sufficient nutrients, Gulneer?
Well, it depends again from school to school. Which school is really providing with good nutrient-related food sources. The kind of schools which I had gone to here in Amritsar, I think they're doing a very good job.
Okay. Recently, I come across in this conversation wherein somebody said that when you go to an orphanage to give food, it is usually seen that the people who are going, they give food कि हमारे फलाने को ये अच्छा लगता था. Now that they are no more, we would like to give gulab jamuns, we would like to give samosas to the kids. Do you think this is good?
No, it is not good at all. In fact, one of the orphanages where I had gone, and they had asked me to prepare a diet plan for the kids, even they had this kind of an issue where, they were saying how to deal with these people. I would say that it is always better to give them cash, so that at least they are catering for a well-balanced diet. They're giving them more amount of fruits. As such, those people were, given more Indian sweets. They were given more fried foods to eat. So that definitely hampers the overall well-being of the child.
So talking of well-balanced diet, Gulneer, what do you feel is a well-balanced diet?
So well-balanced diet would be something where, you are including your dairy and dairy products. You are including fruits and vegetables in your diet. There should be a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. You are adding pulses and lentils, seeds, nuts should be added. And physical activity definitely should be part of your lifestyle. And one should definitely try to keep stress away as much as possible.
Yes, these women who are working in corporates, they have to take care of their homes, their work, and they have a lot of stress.
Right.
So what medical problems, what health problems do they face because of this stress?
So health problem, it is not just that the women are facing these kind of health problems, even men are facing. So if we leave PCOS and hypothyroid related issues away, hypertension, having uric acid related problems, acidity, bloating, having gas issues, constipation, and after constipation they have fissures or pile related problems. So these things are definitely there. Physical activity is just not there, in corporate world, as they do not have enough amount, that much amount of time. Much of the time is usually lost while traveling. So that is definitely a major issue.
Gurleen, if these girls, they have any health related issue, any problem, so do you help them take to a gynecologist, or you suggest that they should go with their parents, or you take the gynecologist to their school?
So it is okay. We do not really take the gynecologist because one, we are not trying to promote any specific doctor to them, because if in future any problem arises around it, so it is not for us to guide them in that aspect which doctor do they have to go to. But we do ask them that there are certain doctors who are working with the NGO. So once we went to an NGO, so there they had some doctors that were associated with them. They were gynecologists. So we note down the names of the students and we made sure that they are made to go to that doctor.
Okay, it's really nice. Gurleen, can you just tell us a few tips on healthy lifestyle, healthy eating?
Healthy eating, definitely, it has to be a well-balanced diet, where you are bringing nuts and seeds, in your diet. Fermented products are supposed to be very healthy. We can talk about curd, we can talk about yogurt, we can talk about, your dhoklas and idlis. They are all steamed, so they are very healthy. We should definitely include, variety of high fibrous vegetables, as part of our lunch meal plan. Lots of salad should be added, different variety of salad, different forms of salad one should be adding, and lentils and pulses definitely provide a very essential part of your healthy meal plan.
We have a question here that what can we eat instead of dairy products?
Related to what?
Sheetal, can you please specify?
Just a second, let me get to let me get back to Sheetal.
What can we eat instead of dairy, instead of curd?
So is she related? I mean, is she relating to some kind of nutrient that, if it is not suiting her, she wants to, add something else to it? Or is it just related that instead of curd, what can she have as dairy product? Is she allergic?
Not, yeah, she's allergic. Curd doesn't suit her. Dairy products don't suit her.
So if dairy products are not suiting her, so green leafy vegetables are a part of very important meal, where your calcium levels can be retained, and related to your vitamins and minerals which are present in milk, those can easily be achieved by a variety of fruits and vegetables.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if you have any questions, you can either write in the chat box or you can just message me your questions so that we can take them up in the question answer round. And we have a very senior member of Maja House, Mrs. Indu Arora, and she's the co-founder of Voice of Amritsar. Can we have Indu auntie here? Arvinder ji?
Yes, of course, I can get Indu auntie here. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Just a second. Oh. Induji, yes. Yes. From my side, she's there. Indu auntie, please yes.
I can't see her.
Okay. I
Hello,
have
auntie.
asked her to start the video.
Yeah. Auntie, you have helped Gurleen a lot in promoting this campaign.
Yeah. It's a pleasure, and I'm surprised that the young girls these days, they're doing so much it's at our times, in our times, everything was so, hush hush and taboo. We couldn't discuss things. I'm talking about our time. But today, the freedom of expression is opened up so, vastly that I think it's a wonderful thing that awareness and discussing many issues which were never open, initially. So I think it's a very important thing for a woman, being the mother, being the, she's going to bear children, to have a proper diet, and also to, her hygiene when her menstruation comes in. This all has to be, looked into. Initially, ladies would use, the rural, I'm talking about the rural background, they would use cloth or various kind of things, which were very unhygienic. Today, there are sanitary pads are available everywhere. And the only thing they need is awareness, basically. Of course, with the television and other means of, media, social media, we are getting aware, we are getting awareness. But I think it's still lacking in many, many places. And the girls that Gurleen and Gulneer are doing are a wonderful thing. Diet as well as healthcare, both go side by side. And just recently on the 28th of May, World Menstruation Day, Hygiene Day, we had, it comes in the healthcare. And I think government school girls also, I'm actually associated with a lot of government schools. There I see whenever girls have their periods, they don't go to school because, they have that fear that they'll stain their clothes and things. But now in Rotary that we are doing also is, giving them sanitary pads so that they last for a month, and then we always provide them. So I think in general, Rotary, Voice of Amritsar, and now these young girls, Gurleen and Gulneer, they're doing so much. So I think this entire setup needs a change, and freedom of expression, freedom of speech. And I think the time is not far when, women and girls, they will realize that this is a very important natural process in the body of a woman. And she's also going to bear children. And if she's healthy and a proper healthy diet, I think nothing like it. So I really, appreciate the girls, the way they are working on this, or working on ground. Not just talking about it, but working on ground. And of course, including the boys and the men folk is one big advantage, because eventually every home has a son or the husband is there, the brother is there, the son is there. Very important for them to know what this means. This process is not an impure process. It is, of course, a bloody pure that you're saying. It is very pure. And they need to understand and realize, and mentally also, extend their hand to the woman to kind of, give them a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of help. So I think this is, on the whole, things are improving. And like they still have this problem, mandir mein nahi jana, wo periods aaye hue hain.
Yes.
I also know, initially I used to hear from my mother-in-law, kitchen mein nahi jana, periods aaye hue hain. So what is it? Baba ji ke kamre mein nahi jana, puja room mein nahi jana. It was all that thing, which kind of gave us the feeling that why a woman who has given birth to so many, saints, peers everywhere. A woman is the pivot of the house, the pillar. Why should she be considered impure? And I think this thing is, the fad is changing now. And congratulations to the youngsters. Keep it up. And any time that any help needed, we're always there. All of us are there to help them out. And good luck and great going. And I think I've spoken enough. So over to you now, Nazi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a few questions from Kiran Deep. Arvinderji, can we have Kiran Deep?
Yes,
Kiran
of course.
Deep
Just a second. I'm having Kiran. Kiran. Kiran, actually, yes, here it is. Yes, of course, Kiran, now you can be there. Yeah. Kiran ji.
Hello.
Yeah, please raise your question. Ask your question.
Yeah. I want to ask the question to the dietitian, that is Gulneer. what about the supplements that ladies take for low HP levels? Are supplements good for health or no? And
Well,
regarding constipation issue also.
so supplements, I would say that first you should start with your food intake, right kind of food intake for your iron levels, more green leafy vegetables, more amount of fruits. If you're a non-vegetarian person, then lean meat like chicken and fish will definitely provide you with, um, good level of iron. There's nothing wrong in taking supplements as far as, it is serving the purpose. And as far as your constipation is concerned, if you're not eating fibrous vegetables, you're not including salads and fruits in your diet, you're not drinking enough water, this constipation will always remain an issue.
More of liquid should be taken for tackling.
More of liquid should be taken. Liquid, just plain water. Just drink as much as you want, just to make sure that your, stool is.
I have another question for you, Gulneer. Somebody's asked, can you suggest tips for natural hormonal balance in menopausal women?
So I would say more on be regular on your physical activity. At least that should be done daily, for 1 hour. Sleep should be proper, at least at a stretch for 6 to 7 hours. More amount of protein should be included in each meal plan. And she should include dairy and dairy products, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds at equal amount, for breakfast.
Okay, there's another question. I feel tired almost daily at the end of the day. Which foods should I add in my diet?
So definitely a high protein source should be included. Even I would, stress more on the iron levels, if just in case that is a problem. She should get herself checked even for B12, vitamin B12 deficiency, which is actually a issue in most of the women nowadays. And of course, physical activity will, bring in the stamina for her.
Preeti ji wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
Arvinder ji?
Yeah, I have already done. And there is another hand raised by Jasmeet Nair ji.
Okay.
Basically, I was looking more at women from, lower income backgrounds and rural areas who probably do not have the kind of privileges that we have and do not have also the money to kind of make the choices that we are able to make because we happen to be born where we are born because, it's just a trick of fate. So I feel that the diets of women in India are a completely gray area. And women are mostly socially conditioned to eat last and to eat the least, especially in homes like that. What would you suggest for them, Gulneer? Is there some kind of supplement or some way that at least they should be able to get the basic minimum? Because most women are anemic in this country.
Right. So definitely supplements are available, and if I am not wrong, government is working towards it, where they are providing with the basics to these people. As far as food choices are concerned, lentils are something which definitely they should bring it in their lifestyle. And vegetables should also be there. So I will not say that it should be too much in quantity, but at least, for every meal, they should have one kind of a vegetable which should suffice this problem.
Thanks. Thank you.
Can we have your question, Mrs. Nair?
I've already, made her unmuted and then she's there, but then probably it's because of her network issues. So, Nikuji, can you hear us? Can you ask your question? No, you need to connect to your audio, the device audio. as we can't hear you, so I'm just doing it again. Okay, so no, you're not audible. So you can raise your question in the chat box so that Nazi can ask that question.
You can just write it down
Yeah.
in the chat box.
Yeah.
I have another question here. What can I suggest my mother on waist pain and body ache because of everyday home works?
Sorry, could you
Gulneer, this is for you. What can I suggest my mother on waist pain and body ache because of the everyday work at home?
The B complex is something which is very important, which she should be taking. Maybe she can take it as supplements along with the food sources. And if there are any kind of body aches and some kind of joint pains, then she should get herself checked for vitamin D and calcium levels.
Okay. We have another question from Minna Bagga. Can we have Minna, please?
Yeah, of course. I can have her. Yeah. Yeah, she's there.
Okay.
And Kiran has raised her hand again. So now we have Minna.
Yes. Okay. So what's your take on the pseudo cereals? I have a question for Gulneer.
So what do you want to ask about pseudo cereals? Do you want to ask that it should be part of the...
It should be, yeah, as a part of our Indian food table?
Definitely, they should be part of your meal plan and in the diet. And, you know, it can easily be mixed with flour. Your wheat flour, or it can be...
What do you think is the importance? Why should we include it in our food table?
Well, pseudo cereals, most of them related, like, you know, if we are talking about millets or we are talking about others, they all are high in protein. So definitely these can be included in the diet.
We have another question from Indu Arora. Is it, Gulneer, this question is for you. Is it essential for women to take calcium with vitamin D daily for bones?
Well, see, vitamin D is required for your calcium absorption. If your calcium levels are very low or your vitamin D levels are also very low, so, you know, that can definitely be taken.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Mahesh Ji. Mahesh Sagar, please. Arvinder Ji.
I'll just get him. Then there's another question from Kirandeep also. Should you wish?
Yes.
Yeah, shall I ask her? Okay, then I'll get Mahesh Ji also. I don't know. Okay, let me get Mahesh Ji.
Gulin, somebody wants to be a part of your NGO. How can they join? Dinesh Kakkad.
Yeah, okay. I'll share my details, contact details with him here right now so that he can just contact me.
Mahesh Ji, I have unmuted you. You are to unmute yourself from your... I am unable to, you are to set your gadget. Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, you are audible.
Oh, he's again muted. Mahesh Ji, you need to unmute your microphone.
Anyway, Jasmeet Ji, can you say something so that we can...
Hello?
Yeah, Mahesh Ji, you're there.
He isn't audible.
I don't know. I think probably he's playing with his phone.
Gulneer, I have another question for you. What diet would you recommend for women suffering from hypertension?
So definitely for hypertension, you should go in for a low sodium diet, a high potassium diet. And for high potassium, the food sources would be citrus fruits, green leafy vegetables, peaches, plums. These should definitely be part of your meal plan. and you should stay away from pickles, sauces, or do not sprinkle extra salt on the salad. Always remember that the salt should be eaten in the cooked form in vegetables, your pulses, and your lentils. So try to keep your salt level, sodium level low.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Anybody? My question was, hello?
Hanji Mahesh. Hanji.
My question was that how much calorie one should have in terms of food per day? That's a question to Gulneer.
Well, it definitely depends upon a person's age, health, physical activity, and all these conditions have to be taken, while answering this.
So at the like my daughter, says she's about 20, and how much rather granddaughter I can say. What do you suggest the calories one should have? Food in terms of.
So if she's 20 and she's very active, then I would definitely say, 1,800 to 2,000 calories should be there.
But for every person, it's more or it relates?
For every person, it is different.
Okay, thank you. Anyhow.
So, Nazi,
thank you.
Two more people have raised their hands, so you can check on them and then.
Yeah, I'll just. Can you unmute them?
Yeah, I'm just going to say. I'm going to. The one is Kirandeep Kaur. I have already, unmuted her, and then there's Preeti ji.
Okay, Kirandeep.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I only have had my observation that women are still not allowed in religious places like temples, gurdwaras, etc. A taboo related to them is still there.
Gurleen, what do you have to say about this?
So I agree to this, the taboo is still there, but it is mostly around the myths that we are made to believe from the past. And honestly, the dialogue that we are starting here today is only to shed this away because it doesn't make sense. I'll just quote this one thing that we again did in a video. Ye deviyan hai to ye apavitrata kaisi? Why are we stopping them from entering the temple when we have devis sitting in the temples? It is
hard to convince people about it still today also.
It is hard and we are trying our best every day. And it is difficult, I agree with this, but we are clearly, surely, and slowly making the difference.
Okay. All the best for your initiative.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Preeti ji, you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Again, this is for you, Gurleen. I mean, first of all, of course, congratulations, because this is really excellent work and need of the hour kind of work, because it's really required. Especially in the rural areas, and like I said, the people who are not as privileged as we happen to be. Also, there are not even toilets. So forget about, there's no appropriate sanitation facility in most places. So how has Swachh Bharat helped, for example?
So period poverty is still prevailing in a lot of sections in our society. It is still, the numbers are quite low. But it is, I feel, going to take quite some time to get there where we can proudly say that we have reached the point where menstrual equity exists in a way that it is reaching to the maximum number of women present in the country, as well as globally. So this is not only a problem which is being faced by Indian women or girls, it is everywhere around the globe. Like African countries, it is prevailing as well. So Swachh Bharat is doing the initiative. Again, it is not only with the toilets, it is again waste management. We have to address all these issues to realize that how women can manage the period safely.
Yeah, what I meant by bringing in Swachh Bharat was that we always start a lot of initiatives, but do they ever get connected on the ground? Basically that. So, I mean, this is something for women's health. It's for menstrual health. It's also for reproductive health, because obviously if you're a healthy mother, will you have a healthy child? And that's the future of the country. So when you're talking about any other government initiatives, like you mentioned, midday meals, So like I'm saying Swachh Bharat, which is supposed to provide us with toilets and, sanitation and so on. Do these ever get connected? When you are working in these areas, do you find this thing getting connected at all or not?
So I can't really point out with the Swachh Bharat, but I can say I have 2 points which I can add here. One, that I very recently in the lockdown itself, I saw these portable toilets which had written Swachh Bharat on it. So I'm pretty sure they are being brought to the cities and the towns. And I can't really again talk about the stats if they are being connected. But the other thing is the government here in Punjab is also has taken this initiative where they are providing sanitary products to the girls in schools on a monthly basis. So this is a great initiative where when we go to the schools, we expect that a lot of them will say that they are not being provided with the proper sanitary products, but it is kind of otherwise also in most of the areas. So it is kind of okay as a relief that they are being prevented from some sort of health related issues which can arise otherwise. But again, overall, the initiatives are being done by a lot of more NGOs, which is quite good.
Thanks.
So I have another question for Gulneer. Gulneer, somebody's asking, my wife has low vitamin D, always feels tired. She's a private school teacher. There are no chairs for classrooms. She has to stand during the lecture. Dark circles around the eyes, thyroid problem, and sometimes irregular menstruation. So what kind of diet would you suggest?
So as far as low vitamin D is concerned, she should be taking, she can sit under the sun at least for 30 minutes every day. Supplements should definitely be included in her diet. And as far as, hypothyroid condition is concerned, I have already mentioned that she should be taking green leafy vegetables, to increase her metabolism, more amount of citrus fruits and berries. Lentils should definitely be part of her diet meal plan, and physical activity should be there. As far as vitamin D sources are concerned, it's an oil-soluble vitamin, so it will be present in full-fat milk, your cream, clarified butter, so that definitely should be included a little bit in her diet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Preeti ji?
Thanks very much. That was really quite an informative as well as an engaging and interesting discussion. And we got I think, a great many questions that were asked as well. Thank you very much, because you actually brought in vital aspects of women's health and well-being across the board. So whether we are talking of women who are not that privileged as well as the ones who are better off, but we talked about women's health, and we talked about the way that a nation's well-being depends basically on its women, and that we need to pay attention to what's happening with our women, because the statistics, as we all know, are completely stacked against women in India, in South Asia, and as you mentioned, also places which are not as developed. And even in the developed world, there is still racial discrimination. So even there are people who have a lot and others who don't. So, you come across these really distressing sort of statistics all the time, that a quarter of women of reproductive age in India are undernourished with a body mass index of less than 18.5. India suffers because women eat least and they eat last. So there are so many of these things that one keeps hearing every day. Every second woman in India is anemic. Every third woman has low BMI. Every fourth child born is low birth weight. So all these are really terrible, terrible problems which we've been plagued with for a long time and which we continue to be plagued by. So, women's health being such a gray area, which is why we thought that it was important today to focus on this. Some of the other things I think is, of course, the fact of social conditioning. It's toxic masculinity. It's women's own food habits and discriminatory social practices, a lot of which you talked about. I hope we are all going to think about all these issues and try to make a difference in some of the little ways that we can. And definitely Maja House is there to hold up the flag and push forward. Thank you very much, Nazi. That was really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurleen, and thank you, Gulneer. It was really a wonderful session.
Arvinderji, one last thing. Please follow us on Facebook, on social media. And if you want us to keep you updated about our online Adda events, just message me at 9779020050 or on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
audience.
you so much. Thank you.